From Husky Softball Stadium on the campus of the University of Washington in Seattle, Fox Sports Northwest brings you Pac-10 Softball today. Number 3 UCLA comes to Seattle to take on the 6th-ranked Washington Huskies. Hi everybody, I'm Todd Pickett. We welcome you to our first telecast of Husky Softball for the 1997 season. Well, as always, the Pac-10 among the nation's elite as we look at the top 10 this week. Arizona actually dropping down out of the number 1 spot, but 4 Pac-10 teams among the top 10. The Wildcats, the Bruins at 3, the Huskies at 6, and Arizona State is at number 10. Our expert analyst for the 1997 season, former Husky player and assistant coach Angie Marzetta, and a welcome home for this Husky team as well, Angie, after playing their first 34 games of the season on the road.
Yeah, and coming home now, the Huskies really hope to gain some momentum and carry themselves into the rest of the season.
Washington faced some tough nationally ranked opponents during that stretch, but as we look at the schedule now, it's really favorable. A chance to pick up momentum, as you said, with a combination of Pac-10 and non-conference doubleheaders. Well,
Pacific Lutheran and the Western Washington games hopefully will let the Huskies get a little bit of confidence and carry them into the Pac-10 season.
Both these teams, of course, made it to the Final Four a year ago. For Washington, some departures, but one returning player who's helping to carry the load as expected is Sarah Pickering, off to another great year.
Sarah Pickering really has been a cornerstone for the Husky softball program. She's got excellent hands and she's got great power at the plate.
She's leading the Pac-10 in doubles. For UCLA, they're getting great contribution from a phenomenal freshman player, Stacy Newman, great player.
Stacy Newman is one of those players, when you see her at the plate, you just think, I just don't want to make a mistake here. And even if you do, she'll still make you pay for it.
As you see, she's already just one short of the single-season record, on pace to set the career home run record for UCLA in her freshman season. 2 pitchers starting today, both from the Phoenix area, knew each other back in high school. A veteran for UCLA in Beanne Burns, and an outstanding freshman for Washington, Jamie Graves.
Like you said, Todd, both of them pitched in the Phoenix area, Beanne at Greenway and then Jamie Graves at Moon Valley. And now they get to meet again, just on a different playing field.
Really, the key for both of these pitchers will be location today. They'll need to have control of their pitches against 2 tough-hitting teams. It's the Bruins and the Huskies, 2 of the best in the country, coming your way next on Fox Sports Northwest. And we welcome you back to Seattle, getting ready for the start of our contest. The Bruins entering today's game 31-7 overall, 11-3 in Pac-10 play. The Huskies at 27-9 and 1-3 in the conference. And the starting lineup for UCLA: Lori Fritz will lead off, play second base. Courtney Dale is in left field. Aaliyah Polson at first base. Stacy Newman hitting cleanup is at the third base position today. Julie Marshall, who usually shares the catching duties with Newman, is also in the infield at shortstop. Nicole Ochoa at center field. Kim Weiss, the designated player. Jonna Mike is the catcher. And Karen Hoshizaki, a late addition to the squad, gets a start today in right field. Defensively for Washington, Shelley Brown in left, Leanne Rosser in center, Leah Francis is in right. Jen Spediacci at first, Sarah Pickering at second, Rosie Leitzinger at short, and Heather Tarr, the third baseman. Becky Newbury catching. And on the mound for Washington will be Jamie Graves, freshman from Moon Valley High School in Phoenix, 3-time Arizona Player of the Year. And you can see some of the performances she's had already here in the early part of the season, Angie.
She's won 8 of her last 9 appearances, as you can see, and she's just done such a great job jumping up to the next level, which is a lot of times tough for an incoming freshman.
First pitch, a called strike to Lori Fritz, getting set to lead things off for UCLA.
I talked to Jamie Graves before the game, and she said she really wanted to work on getting ahead of the hitters, as we see her do that right there.
Corners creeping in against Fritz, tries to slap another one, and quickly is in the hole, 0-2.
Also, Jamie was talking about how she really wanted to keep the ball low, which Jamie does well because she does have a great drop ball, and that is usually her go-to pitch.
Takes it outside.
This is such a scary situation to be in when you're a hitter. I think the average statistic for batting with 0-2 is about 0.95. And if you can work yourself out of the hole, like she just got herself, she's 1-2 now, she greatly increases her chances of getting a hit.
And she's worked at the 2-2, and talk about overplaying a hitter. Leanne Rosser is, she's about at shortstop. She's so far shaded and in so tight. I don't know if I've ever seen a center fielder play that tight, but the leadoff hitter, of course, usually a slapper, so she's in the right spot.
And the other thing is not many slappers go well to right center field.
Well, Graves rings her up instead, so frozen with the bat on the shoulder is Fritz, and one down.
Take a look, and you see right there, she just gets it on the inside corner. A lot of times a slapper doesn't hit the inside pitch very well because usually they're looking to go with something to the left side of the field.
Courtney Dale, who also pitches for the Bruins, sends a pop to short just beyond Leitzinger, and it'll drop for a base hit. Good effort by the shortstop.
So frustrating. Sometimes as a pitcher, you don't mind if you get beat. If you hit a double into the gap, I'm not going to get too upset, but when you just keep blooping them over my infielders' heads and in front of my outfielders, it just drives you crazy. Great effort right there by Rosie Leitzinger.
That'll bring up one of the Bruins seniors, a second-team All-American a year ago, Aaliyah Polson.
Aaliyah is one of those lefties that can really hit any pitch. She hits the inside pitch well, and she hits the outside pitch well, which makes her really a dangerous hitter.
Tar and Spediacci both in tight at the corners. You see the numbers for Polson. Squares early and drops a nice bunt down the line, fielded by Spediacci to Pickering. The sacrifice moves Dale up to second base, and they're two away.
You know, it's a game of softball. You try to get your lead runner on. They weren't successful with that, but they do get their number 2 hitter on, and then we bunt her over to second base. Now she's in scoring position, a base hit, we score a run.
Although with the next hitter, I don't know if you even have to have anybody much in scoring position. We see the sacrifice one more time, because with this hitter, you can be anywhere out there and perhaps trot home. Our first look at Stacy Nuveman, and you see what Washington's going to do immediately. How's this for respect for a freshman?
It's good to be the king.
Not even going to let her have a crack at it. Take the bat out of her hands.
Not only this, say something's hit hard to the left-hand side, you get shortstop maybe dives in the 5-6 hole. We have a force out at third base. So it'll really help your defense out if you can create a force anywhere.
Yeah, the fact that she's hitting .467 and leading the country in RBIs has absolutely nothing to do with the intentional
nothing at all.
walk, so, yeah.
Nothing.
Bring up an almost as dangerous hitter, however, in Julie Marshall, who waits on deck and is at .423, but you have to take your chances somewhere, although I guess you could load the bases, but you might be asking for more trouble than it's worth.
And it's been done before. I've seen that done before, where you load them all up and take your chances. You know, and the game with baseball and softball both is you play percentages.
So an intentional walk to go along with a strikeout here in the first inning for Graves as Marshall steps in with 2 gone.
Sometimes I think it's hard for a pitcher right after you have to throw an intentional walk to come in there and get back into your normal strike zone.
It is such a change of pace and tempo and everything else. That would be a tough adjustment. Put that one right down the heart. And as you said at the start, this is a young lady who really has to mix up some speeds and throw to some spots to be successful, right?
Jamie Graves is not an overpowering pitcher with her speed, but you're exactly right. She's going to hit her spot. And if I know Jamie Graves, that first pitch outside was probably a setup pitch for that next strike inside.
Tried to take her outside that time, and the foul ball raised the count to 1-2. Looked like she tried to take her to the outside that time, Andy.
And she was just a little bit behind that. Julie Marshall did a good job of going with the pitch, but you've got to adjust your timing to go with the pitch, but you can't adjust it so much that you're that far behind it.
1-2, got her swinging to close out the inning. 2 strikeouts in the first inning for Jamie Graves. For UCLA in the first, no runs on a hit, no errors, 2 runners left on base. We'll go to the bottom of the first. UCLA nothing. The Huskies are coming up to bat on Fox Sports Northwest. And welcome back to Seattle as we get set to head to the bottom of the first inning. Washington's first at-bat against Beanne Burns for UCLA. Teresa Wilson with this batting order for the first game of this doubleheader. Shelly Brown will lead off in left field. Rosie Leitzinger, the shortstop, bats second. Sarah Pickering will hit third. Becky Newbury, the cleanup hitter, in the catcher's spot. Leanne Rosser is in center field. Leah Francis in right. Heather Tarr at third base. Jennifer Spediacci at first. And Eve Gaw, who had her first career at-bat earlier in the week, will be the designated player. Defensively for UCLA, Dale Ochoa and Hoshizaki around the outfield. Olsen, Fritz, Marshall, Newman in the infield. Jonna Mike, the catcher, the number 3 catcher for UCLA, and Beanne Burns on the mound. Bunt attempt by Shelly Brown and just drops foul. Hanging there tantalizingly, but a little bit of a slow reaction by Jonna Mike.
Yeah, but a good idea by Shelly Brown. Anytime you have corners that aren't very familiar with playing there, it's a good idea to go ahead and test them early in the game.
Beanne Burns, as we said, the senior with a ton of career marks, an All-America first-teamer. Just 5 wins away from tying her former teammate, current assistant coach Lisa Fernandez, for career victories.
And I think that's a goal definitely within her reach, especially this early in the season, to be just 5 wins away.
Got off to a good start, as you see Shelly Brown. Burns won her first 12 games and then lost 3 straight before picking up win number 13 against Cal, and Brown beats out the infield single, a straight shot. Again, there the depth problem, a little bit of a problem for UCLA perhaps. Marshall a little slow reacting to the ball, didn't get it across quickly enough against one of the speediest players in the Pac-10. Take a look.
Again, Shelly does a good job at inside-outing this pitch. The shortstop's in, she's playing in the line, and Shelly just gets there just in the nick of time. And again, I said, you want to go ahead and test out the left side of that infield. Julie Marshall at shortstop and Stacy Newman early in the game, and see exactly what they have.
Leitzinger trying to slap one, pops it up above the Husky dugout.
Again, Rosie doing such a great job this year, coming in and being able to play as a starting shortstop in such a critical position at the Pac-10 level.
Been an interesting freshman year. You see, hitting over 320. Missed a couple of weeks during the season with an emergency appendectomy. Brown going, swing and a miss. Throw down will not even be close. Shelly Brown had that one stolen by 1.5 miles. They should have not even bothered to throw. That is the 27th stolen base for Shelly Brown this season. That is more than the entire UCLA team has for the year, just to show you the difference in styles between these two squads.
And the thing about it is not only Shelly Brown, but you have a potential base stealer with Rosie Leitzinger in the shortstop. In the second spot, you have Becky Newbury that is a cleanup hitter, but also is a base stealing threat. Heather Tarr even, I believe, hasn't been thrown out this year, stealing bases. Leanne Rosser. There's
the numbers for Brown. 27 out of 31 now, which is a great percentage, but doesn't lead the team, as Angie mentioned. There's some folks who've been perfect in stolen base attempts so far this year. Leitzinger trying to protect the plate a little bit in this situation. Nearly got it by it, goes off the glove of Colson. Brown around third, break for the plate, late throw will play wide, she'll get in. Leitzinger will head to second, and she's in scoring position as the Huskies take a 1-0 lead with some heads-up base running.
Here you see the domino effect. It just comes off the glove of first baseman Aaliyah Polson. This is what you want to do when you have a runner on second base. If you can get it to the right side of the infield, Rosie Leitzinger does a great job there. It just comes off the glove of Aaliyah Polson. The second baseman has to go cover first because Aaliyah fields it. And we have the domino effect. Shelly with some heads-up base running coming around third, doesn't even hesitate, and is able to score the first Husky run.
Leitzinger reaching base on the error on Polson. And Sarah Pickering, who leads this team, as we mentioned, in doubles, but also leads the team in RBIs, will step in. 6 homers, 37 RBIs, all team leading marks.
And it's frustrating as a pitcher, you know, if you're Beanne, they haven't hit her well, you know, and slappers will do that. They'll just peck away at you. And that's exactly what their job is to do, is to find a way to get on base for the big guns like Sarah Pickering and Becky Newbury.
really is a contrast to styles today between the speed versus the more power-oriented game that UCLA prefers to play.
Exactly. Generally, UCLA does recruit for power, and Huskies.
Well, there's some power from Pickering off the base of the wall. She'll stop at second with another double. Almost has become routine for her. Number 16 for the season, RBI 38 as Leitzinger scores. And it's 2-0 in favor of Washington. UCLA still looking to record its first out. And Sue Enquist is going to come out of the Bruin dugout.
What you want to do here is break up the tempo with the game. The Huskies have gotten off to a great start. You just want to come out and tell your pitcher, look, calm down. This isn't a big deal. You know, our offense will take care of it. You just worry and do your job. Tell Sarah Pickering to get in the weight room, huh? Just off the top of the wall there.
She'll sprint over for a quick conference as well. Well, she's going to get a little fluid there. Just unseasonably warm Seattle temperatures, right? What a great day for a game out here.
Yeah, well, you can always tell the Huskies down at the, they don't even need to be in their uniforms. You can always tell the Huskies down at the early tournaments down in Arizona and such, because they're the ones with all the sunblock on and the white arms and the white legs.
Quick reminder, weeknights at 6 o'clock, Fox Sports brings you an early edition of Fox Sports News. Get all the previews of that evening's events, and then at 10 o'clock you can find out what happened in the world of sports. Fox Sports News comes your way every weeknight at 6 and 10, right here on Fox Sports Northwest. Former walk-on and was a third-team All-American, Becky Newbury, now starting at the catcher's position with a runner in scoring position in Pickering.
As a coach, you can't say enough about a player like Becky Newbury. She does such a great job. It doesn't matter where you tell her to go, whether it be in the outfield her freshman year, she's come in, she played a little bit of shortstop, she's played first base, she's behind the plate now catching. Anywhere you put her, she gives you 110% and does a great job.
And she's bounced back a little bit, broke her finger early this season.
You know, and it's frustrating as a hitter sometimes. You know, Becky Newbury starts out, I think she hit 6 home runs almost in the first 2 tournaments, and then hasn't hit one since because of the injury to a broken finger. But she's continued to hold a high batting average. If you can't hit for power, maybe you can hit for average.
Has plenty of speed as well. Another one of those stolen base threats that Angie mentioned. She fouls that one back to the screen, and it's 2-1.
We see her there go ahead and try to lay down a base hit bunt, and with her kind of speed and with corners like Newman out there at third base that aren't really familiar or not as familiar with playing that position, sometimes you can try to take advantage of it.
Good stab there by Lori Fritz at second base. Pickering able to move up, but Fritz didn't even have time to react to get a body behind that one, just kind of reached down and plucked it.
It's a good job by Becky Newbury. When you have a runner on second base, that's ideally what you'd like to do, is to at least hit the ball to the right side of the field so you can move your runner over. Sometimes if you hit the ball to shortstop, you're probably going to be out at first base and you're not going to get an opportunity to advance the runner.
And still only one down for Burns, and Leanne Rosser a chance to bring Pickering in with really anything that gets out of the infield.
Exactly. Anything also on this hard surface, because we have had some dry weather, even a high chopper, or like you said, a sac fly to the outfield, or even a pass ball. Anytime you have less than 2 outs and a runner on third, you've got to bring the infield in, and you really increase your chances as a hitter of getting it through.
Interesting right there, Burns starting her off with a change of pace.
Leanne Rosser is more of a power hitter, and a lot of times, you know, because she does have such a quick bat and a little bit longer swing, sometimes you can set her off balance a little bit with a changeup to start off.
Caught the outside corner with the second pitch, so Burns settling down a little bit. A couple of very good deliveries, and Rosser's now 0-2. I think that's some of the poise that you expect from a senior, to settle down when your defense may have let you down a little bit. Straight up. Newman calling for it, along with Polson, and she catches the ball. Great save by the freshman. Pickering was just about ready to sprint. Fortunately, there was no one covering third after Newman's circus catch, so they weren't able to double her up. But let's watch Alphonse and Gaston at work.
They're both calling it at the same time, and neither one of them hear each other. Newman does a great job of saving the play right there.
A little bit more conversation now. Newman and Polson introducing themselves to one another. It's a good time to do that. 2 gone, and Leah Francis will step in. Pickering still on at third.
She's such a sturdy athlete that she can stay there, you know, take a collision from another base runner and still hang on to that.
Tried to loop that one, but it held up enough for Marshall to camp underneath and make the catch for out number 3. But a great first inning for the Huskies. 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 UCLA error, 1 runner left on base. We go to the second. The Huskies lead the Bruins 2-0. We welcome you back to Seattle, Washington, jumping out early on UCLA. For the Bruins in the second inning, it'll be the 6, 7, 8 hitters scheduled to go up against Jamie Graves. Center fielder Nicole Ochoa set to lead things off. Kim Weiss, the designated player, will follow, and then the catcher, John Mike, as you see our location, tucked underneath Husky Football Stadium. Or maybe we should start saying Husky Football Stadium's adjacent to Husky Softball Stadium.
We'll go by rankings. How's that?
Sounds fair to me.
Now, if you're UCLA here, you've got to think good teams are going to come back and score right here. They score, we've got to come back and score the very next inning. Interesting statistic for this young lady. She's hitting, Ochoa that is, only .265 for the year, but when she leads off an inning, she's batting .591. I don't know how you explain that. Maybe she focuses a little bit more leading off the inning, but she's down 0-2 right now after a good spot there by Jamie Graves. Also, sometimes as a hitter, perhaps if you have runners in scoring position, you can put more pressure on yourself. And we see Jamie Graves there just catch the outside corner of the plate. And she's got that screwball where she's left-handed and it barely catches the outside corner of the plate.
Had Ochoa off balance that time, just put it foul. Ochoa was the hitting star for the Bruins in their 3-0 victory against Cal. She had a bases-loaded single, and all 3 runners credited scoring on the single for the 3-0 victory over the Bears. The Bruins had to come from behind in the first game of that doubleheader. That one off the glove of Leitzinger will go as an error, and Ochoa is aboard.
Catches Leitzinger right in between. You're not sure exactly if you want to backhand it or if you have enough time to get over there and field it in the center of your body. And you just kind of get Leitzinger here. You can see it in between backhanding it and getting your body in front of it.
A lot of zip on that one as well. I think folks don't realize sometimes, Angie, how little reaction time, not only for the hitters, but for the fielders there is with the dimensions in this stadium or any softball stadium.
Yeah, well, you figure that 60 feet is the bases.
That one just ripped foul by Weiss.
The bases are 60 feet in softball, and that's really the dimensions. That's where the pitching mound is in baseball. So figure how much smaller that is. They would be pitching from third base. That's the kind of distance. I
guess they did a study as well, and in terms of timing for a hitter with the equivalent distances, they have as much reaction time as a major league hitter does to a Randy Johnson fastball.
Yes.
That's quick. And then the ability these pitchers have to change speeds, change locations, throw the drop, throw the rise.
Yeah, and that's something in softball that they don't have in baseball, obviously, is the rise ball. Not many pitchers in baseball can make a ball rise, and of course not to the dimensions that you're able to in softball. But yes, you do have probably a larger strike zone to worry about in softball, and you have a much smaller swing.
Weiss showing bunt, takes another one outside. It's 2-1. Kim really off to a bit of a slow start. She had a 1-for-24 stretch that she finally started to break out of a little bit with a home run against Arizona.
Again, we see the batter squaring around to bunt. This is softball. You want to get your lead runner on, you want to bunt her over.
Tar calling for it. Nice play there. We see 2 veterans combining Tar and Pickering, making it look very smooth, and on the sacrifice, Ochoa moves up.
It's a tough play. Tar, looking to go 2. You see her, she comes up and just gives a glance to 2, but all of her body and momentum is going to first base because that ball was a little bit towards the pitcher side of the field.
Jonna Mike will step in next, handling the catching duties for the Bruins today. Transfer, started originally at Cal Santa Barbara, spent 3 years there, now coming to UCLA for her senior season. Her sister Ginny finished her career with the Bruins last year. That one skips off Newbury's glove, runner trying to advance and will make it on the pass ball on Becky Newbury. So both defenses letting their hurlers down a little bit.
Good job of base running right there by Nicole Ochoa. Sees the ball just off the glove and takes the extra base. It's good hustle. Sometimes as a catcher, when you're really trying to frame and you're trying to catch that outside corner for your pitcher, you can frame it just a little bit short.
A sacrifice attempt there, and
actually looked like a squeeze.
Yeah,
the runner
the squeeze
was coming.
Was going, yeah.
And that's what you've got to do. If that pitch is that far outside, at least you've got to foul it off and protect your runner. Now she's still in scoring position at third base.
Sue Enquist trying to get her team back into the game, and not doing so by the power route. They tried to run a little strategy there. One down.
And in that picture right there, we saw the infield, Husky infield, pulled in for the runner on third.
Graves recording her third strikeout now in an inning and 2/3. And that's a big one there because you don't let Mike put the ball in play.
Just gets that to break, and actually that's a new pitch I know that Jamie Graves has been working on as a curveball. She didn't have that coming in, but has been working with head coach Teresa Wilson and has been able to make that pitch effective.
That one turned over very nicely, didn't it? Karen Hoshizaki starting just her third game of the season, looking for her first hit. She's 0 for 6 in her limited appearances. Joined the team very late, and again with the injury situation being called on to start today.
The situation here is you just talked about, Todd, that being such a big strikeout by John and Mike. Jamie Graves getting the strikeout is because now you have 2 outs. Out infield can back up a little bit. Even your right fielder can throw the runner out at first base.
Fine catch back there by the hot dog stand. Great crowd on hand today as they have the official, re-official grand opening of the, this time it's completely completed almost complex. It's been a great park from the get-go, and now with all the finishing touches on it, the dedication this weekend. 1-2 pitch coming, just misses outside. We tried to frame that one a bit.
It just didn't get it. The University of Washington has really made a commitment to this softball program. The softball program has done a great job, but that's really been with the help of the sports department here, the athletic department.
2-2 pitch, popped to the right side of the infield, Pickering underneath it, and Graves able to work out of some early trouble for UCLA. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 runner left on base. Inning and a half in the books. That ladies team leads the visitors 2-0. Bottom half of the second inning and the bottom third of the lineup for Washington after a successful first inning against Beanne Burns. Third baseman Heather Tarr starts things off. First baseman Jen Spidiacci to follow. And Eve Gaw in the designated player spot.
Heather Tarr actually another original walk-on to this program, and has earned herself in the span of 4 years a full ride scholarship because she's just come in and she's just got such a great attitude and done a great job here. Honorable
mention all-conference player a year ago. I want to go back to the comment you were making the top half of the inning about this program. And I think one of the keys to the success, as you said, was the commitment by the department to do things right. Obviously, hiring Teresa, who had that kind of dedication to building a program, helped. But every facet of this program in its 5 years has been dedicated to doing things right, and it's made a difference. Of course, she took the team to the championship game a year ago against Arizona.
In just 4 years. So that shows you that from her freshman year, the original class, in just 4 short years, they've gone from no program at all to the World Championship or the championship game of the College World Series.
Eagle eyes there by Teresa. She spotted the ball out of the UCLA bullpen. That's why we had the hold up and play here momentarily. And there you see her mark in her 5th season. Phenomenal record here at Washington. That includes an 18-1 campaign here at home a year ago.
In fact, she just got her 200th win here at the University of Washington against Cal Poly Slow a couple weeks ago.
And we don't mean slow pitch, folks. That means
no.
San Luis Obispo.
San Luis Obispo. There's nothing slow about fast pitch softball, that's for sure.
Tarr stepping back in with a 1-2 mark. Drifting toward foul territory. 3 converge, and a nice backhanded grab by the shortstop, Julie Marshall. I'm a little surprised the outfielder Dale didn't come on in and take that one, but Julie made the grab.
Julie Marshall did a great job of going back on that play. You know, usually you don't see infielders go back that well. Usually, you know, outfielders only do that well, but she does a great job of getting over there, backhanding it. She doesn't really drift on it either. She almost is able to get underneath it.
Here's another one of those freshmen who's been making a contribution in the initial campaign, Jen Spediacci, splitting time between pitching and playing first base, giving the Huskies 3 outstanding pitchers. She takes a called strike.
Spediacci actually is coming back from a knee injury she had her last year of high school, and has just made great strides to come back and be a physical player.
Yeah, Teresa really got a good player here. She was the league player of the year as a junior, and then that knee injury kept her out her senior season.
The nice thing about Spediacci is she can hit, you know, for herself when she pitches, and she also plays first base, so you get kind of a 2-in-1 deal.
Soft liner to Nuveman for 2 out.
The designated player, number 3,
Ian's done a very good job of coming out here and shutting down the first two outs. We see Spediacci there, tries to take an outside pitch and pull it, and that's usually what's going to happen. If you don't hit the pitch where it's pitched, you usually don't hit it very well.
Now here's a sight heretofore unseen by Husky softball fans as Eve Goss steps into the box, and there you see the phenomenal marks. She's on pace, batting 1,000, a home run in every other at bat. She stepped in, and why don't you tell folks, got to hit against PLU for the first time?
She did, and in her first career at bat, she hit a home run over the left center field fence, and it got out of here in a hurry, Todd, I'm here to tell you. And then she did a great job her second at bat. A lot of people would be swinging for the fence again, and she got a base hit in the 5-6 hole.
Well, unfortunately, the natural pops out to the pitcher this time to end the second inning. Nothing across for the Huskies. We're through 2. She drops to a .667 batting average. Washington leads at 2-0. We'll have more after this pause. Good day to be out on the water, an equally great day to be at Husky Softball Stadium as Washington leads it by a score of 2-0 against UCLA, and the softball band is on hand as well, taking up valuable seats that could have been sold. Let's look at this pop again to Burns.
You see here, Beanne Burns and her catcher, Karen Hoshisaki, rather, excuse me.
John
and Mike, yeah. I'm sorry. John and Mike colliding there. That's the second collision we've had in the infield, and again, when you have people switching to all these different positions, these things happen.
2 of them having a good smile about it now, but you're right, there's just so much unfamiliarity around the infield right now.
And this is no slam against Beanne Burns, but you never want your pitcher to field it either. If you can get her out of there, get her out of there.
Top of the order for the Bruins here in the third is Lori Fritz, who was called out on strikes to open the game. Will step in. Good play, great reaction, and the ball kicked away. Spediacci fielded it nicely, and I think might have looked to Pickering a little early there, but she had played perfectly.
Exactly. She ran up, got a great jump on the bunt, and you see her come up. You see her here. She comes in, she gets a great jump on the ball, and then like you said, Todd, she just looks up a second early before she has it, and can't quite make the throw.
Yeah, if there's one player you don't have to worry about being there, it's Sarah Pickering. She was there at the bag. Second error of the game on the Huskies, and we'll see what Courtney Dale does. Squares to bunt early. Big dash off first that time by Fritz. Dale punched one through the outstretched arms almost of Leitzinger, just on the edge of the outfield grass. I mentioned Dale, a good pitcher as well. She's already won Pac-10 Pitcher of the Week honors as she shut out Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
See Jamie Graves trying to get her screwball to work for her, and she's just not quite getting beside it. She's kind of getting under it. It's almost like she's throwing it like a rise ball.
Slap to the right side, fair ball just inside the line. Fritz will take a big turn at second and go to third. hanging on at first with Courtney Dale with her second single of the game. She could not have placed that one much better.
And luckily, Leah Francis, the right fielder, was playing a little bit towards the line, is able to get over there and cut that off. Just gets inside the line there. I think I saw chalk dust fly.
Fritz able to make the turn easily, and runners at the corners now, and a little bit more trouble here for Jamie Graves with nobody gone.
It's a great job of Fritz of going all the way from first to third on a ball hit to right field.
Now nobody out here. Polson sacrificed last time. Does she do that again or take a swing?
The runner on third, I think she's going to be swinging. They've got a little bit of pressure on the defense right now with the first and third situation. You can see Sarah Pickering coming in between the pitcher and the shortstop, covering second base to get ready to cut a throw.
Takes it up and inside, and it's a 2-0 advantage now. So Jamie Graves making things a little bit rougher for herself. Wind starts to pick up a little bit, blowing in from the right field corner. But now you've got to come in with something to Polson, or you run the risk of going 3-0.
Well, we saw her, we saw her in the first couple innings really doing a good job of
Driven
getting
to Pickering.
ahead.
Did she get both of them? Yes, and held the runner. Great play by Sarah Pickering. I wasn't sure if they were going to give her credit for the tag there for a second, because Dale went out of her way to try to avoid it. That is a fantastic double play, and Fritz never budged off third.
And we'll get another look at it here. I'm not sure even if Sarah Pickering did get her, or if it's a phantom tag.
I think she gets credit for Dale going,
out of the baseline. I think you're right, Todd.
Somewhere near Ballard to try to avoid the tag. So.
And there you see a smart defensive job right there by Sarah Pickering. And you don't chase her, you just get the out. And if they want to call her out for being out of the baseline, fine, and we record a double play.
And once again, as we look into the UCLA dugout there, the Huskies are going to let Nuveman keep the bat on her shoulder. Second walk of the game for Graves, and both of them have been intentional walks to Nuveman. Strategy worked the last time. She was able to come back and strike out Marshall to end the first inning when the Bruins had 2 runners aboard.
Sometimes strategies like this work one of 2 ways. It depends. Julie Marshall, does she get so frustrated, try so hard that they're pitching around Nuveman to get to her that she doesn't do well, or does she take that anger and really channel it and say, oh, you want to come to me? I'll show you.
Well, as we said before, it's not much of a drop-off at 4:23 for Marshall, but it worked last time. We'll see if the Huskies can survive it again. Looked close to the corner, but didn't get the call. It's 1-0. Fritz is on at third. Nuveman on at first after the intentional walk.
Again, and I know it sounds crazy, but even putting Nuveman on, if you get a ball here hit up the middle that the infielders are able to knock it down, you might be able to get the force out at second base rather than trying to make a long throw across the infield to first base, and you still record the third out and the run doesn't count.
Good point. Not fleet of foot. She is 3 for 3 in her stolen base attempts, however, is Stacy Nuveman.
I did not know that, Todd.
2-0 pitch. There's the ball up the middle you talked about. Leitzinger gets on the bag in time, and the Huskies get out of another jam as Marshall grounds out into the force play. For UCLA in the third, no runs, 1 hit, another Washington error, 2 runners left on base. We move to the bottom of the third. Washington leads UCLA 2-0. More fun on the water. Still plenty of fun inside the softball stadium as we go to the top of the third. And the top of the order, Shelley Brown will lead things off. Got an infield single and scored to get things started. Slaps this one over the head of the third baseman, base hit. That is intelligent hitting. Nuveman was pinched way inside and Brown dropped it in.
Shelley actually has really been working on that this year. She shows bunt and then slaps. So, as soon as you show bunt as a third baseman, all you're really keyed on is the slapper's hands. She shows bunt and then pulls it back and slaps it right over the third baseman.
I tell you, she could not have done a better job of deception on that play as Leitzinger steps in. Nuveman was sprinting toward the plate down the line, and she just popped it right over her head. Great piece of hitting there by Brown.
It's frustrating coming in because, of course, I was a regular right-handed hitter before I entered college, and then they put me over to the left-hand side, and I became a slapper, and then eventually became a left-handed hitter. But sometimes it's frustrating. You don't get to hit the ball hard.
Close play at second in time as Fritz is able to get over Leitzinger. Maybe not slapping that exactly where she wanted to, but 6-4, and Brown, the lead runner, is retired at second base. Leitzinger on with the fielder's choice.
It's tough here because, you know, as a slapper, that's exactly where you want to hit, is the 5-6 hole or to the shortstop. Now, that shortstop probably doesn't have much of a play on Rosie Leitzinger at first base, but she does have a play with Shelly Brown. That's one of the pitfalls of being a slapper. They probably can't get you out, but they'll probably be able to get a runner out at second base, or if you had runners on first and second at third base. So a lot of times you like to drop a bunt in that situation.
Down low to Pickering, who doubled off the wall in right center field for an RBI. Brought Leitzinger home.
The wind's starting to pick up a little bit, Todd. Maybe if she gets that same hit, it might make its way out there this time.
You think? I was going to say she might have to hit into the teeth of it a little bit, but
maybe out to left. Maybe out to left.
Maybe she's been pumping up in the locker room between innings, right? Caught the outside corner, snap throw down to first, not in time. Leitzinger back in.
Good job of Leah Polson just getting that ball. The snap throw by Jonna Mike.
A little bit of the breeze that you see here. 1-1 pitch now to Pickering.
Pickering has such a great strike zone. You don't even see her offer at a pitch like that. She keeps, you know, she strides, she keeps her hands back, and she doesn't even offer at it. She knows that, look, I have my idea where you need to come, and if you don't come there, I'm not chasing it.
That discipline has really paid off for her throughout her career, hasn't it?
She has it. In freshman year, I believe she was the Pac-10's hardest to strike out.
Well, she grimaces at that call on the outside corner, and it's 2-2.
We see Teresa Wilson saying a couple things, partly to Sarah and probably partly to the umpire as well. We're on the road for 7 weeks before we come home, and we see Arizona State's umpires, and they seem to call favorably for them when we're there, and Arizona as well. And you hope when you come home you get a little bit of advantage.
Runner goes 2-2. They call it strike 3, and that one was even further outside. Teresa Wilson's coming down the line this time to talk to home plate umpire Rich Hobson, because yeah, that one was even further out.
And that's the tough thing, is usually, you know, an umpire will know a hitter, and they'll have an idea of whether or not, you know, they have a good strike zone. They probably don't call that pitch.
Now you saw that one appeared to be wide to the outside. We will tell you our camera's a little bit to the left field side of center field, so shaded over. So even from that angle, it appeared to be very, very wide.
See, that one seemed closer to me than the other one.
Yeah. It's not an easy job.
No,
I will give you credit for that.
Yeah,
but
you are correct, and everybody's human, and we all make mistakes.
That's our equal time provision for today for the umpires. 1-0 to Newbury. Leitzinger is on at second, of course, as she was running on that play, stole second. Newbury fakes the bunt, and it's 2-0. And I think you're right. Sometimes in Teresa's position, that's a place, and I think Sue Enquist would be in the same situation where you've got to kind of go out and make your point, plant that seed a little bit, and hopefully get a break on another call down the road.
Exactly. You never want to embarrass an umpire, because if you do that, you're probably not going to get too many of those calls down the road. But you just want to make him understand that you didn't exactly agree with him.
Both of them handled it pretty well in terms of protocol. Rich went out and dusted off the plate and gave listen, and neither confronted the other. It was pretty well handled all the way around, and it's 3-0 now to Newbury.
Well, it's not something Sarah Pickering does very often, is strike out looking.
Yeah, she has a pretty dedicated eye.
So here we see Becky with a very favorable count.
Taking all the way there.
Well, my philosophy on taking with a 3-0 is even if you hit the ball well, unless you hit it out of the park, there's still 8 people out there that have a chance to catch it, 9 if you want to count the catcher behind you. And you'll probably get the exact same pitch on a 3-1 count. So take a good look on a 3-0 and look to hit on 3-1.
Fouls that one back to work it to a full count now.
You see her Becky Newbury just got a little bit long on that swing. You get a 3-1 count and you think, okay, you know, she's probably going to come in close. Sometimes you muscle up just a little bit, you juice up your swing a little bit.
Now explain that a little bit for folks who aren't familiar when you're saying a little bit long on the swing. what do you look to do?
Well, your contact points to hit the pitches are all out in front, and so you don't want to waste a lot of time swinging behind you. And so we saw back. That's what I mean by
one base hit. There were no errors and one runner left.
Huskies waste the leadoff single by Brown. We'll go to the 4th inning. Washington 2, UCLA nothing. This is Pac-10 softball on Fox Sports Northwest. And we welcome you back to Seattle, top half of the 4th inning as Washington leads UCLA 2-0. We mentioned earlier the Huskies opened the season with 34 straight games on the road. Now that they're back home, a chance to get things rolling once again. And prior to today's game, we talked a little bit to Husky head coach Teresa Wilson about that 34-game road trip.
Well, we've been using a lot of this year to form our own identity. When you lose 7 seniors and we've got another kid redshirting, another starter redshirting from last year's team, so when you basically lose 8 people, we have to take some time to form our own identity and allow the newcomers and the people who didn't get a lot of playing time last year to gel, you know, along with the seniors of this year. So we've been taking a lot of the road games, you know, and despite the injury where for 3 straight weekends we never had the same infield once, but we've taken that time to try to gel together, to try to form an identity, and I think it's worked well. We're looking forward to being home now with our crowd, our field, not having to travel, and it's just a huge plus for us. We've always done well at home, and it's been nice to be here, and we're just very, very excited to be back.
18-1 at home a year ago as Nicole Ochoa leads things off for UCLA here in the 4th inning. And I think, too, you know, Teresa talked a little bit, 1-1 the count now, she takes that one. Talked about this team forming an identity. I think there's also a feeling with this team of Teresa wanting to get back to where this squad was a year ago and take that additional step.
Well, I think Teresa's not alone in that. You have Sarah Pickering and Heather Tarr and you know, other 3 seniors really that got a taste for the College World Series and a taste for that college championship, and they want to get back there, and they know what it takes to get back there. And you know, sometimes as a team it's so frustrating to come so close but yet so far away.
Fine piece of hitting. We mentioned Ochoa, 591 leading off innings, and she's going to steam into second with a stand-up double. I don't know, Sue Enquist ought to just have her hit leadoff maybe or something, but she drilled that one to the wall.
It's a great job of Nicole Ochoa going down and getting this little bit of low pitch on the outside corner. She does a great job of going with it, and not many hitters hit strong like that into the right center field gap, and she does a great job with it right there.
That's only Ochoa's 3rd double of the season, so she drove that one nicely and is immediately in scoring position for Kim Wiest.
Kim Wiest last time sacrificed bunting, and maybe we see her do the same thing here. Put a runner on 3rd base, opens your options up a little bit.
It's a possibility. Of course, this lady does have some pop, too. She's 3rd on the UCLA career home run list. Soon to be 4th if Newman gets to swing at anything in the near future. This is outside. It's 1-1.
And again, we see Jamie Graves trying to throw that screwball. She's either missing high or missing low on that. I spoke to her a little bit about her changeup, and she's been working on that a lot, but and worked for her a couple times so far today.
How minute an adjustment is it for a pitcher at this level? I mean, how little of a turn makes the ball move, break, and do what you want?
Very small. I mean, that's the game, you know, and they say this is a game of inches, but this is a game of, you know, millimeters, really. And we see Jamie Graves doing a good job. She's done a great job all game of keeping the ball low, and then she throws one lower and out of the strike zone, and she gets her Kim Wiest to chase.
Off speed up a little bit there. That's the one thing I was going to say. Even when her pitches have missed, they have missed down and away. You're not putting anything sitting in the zone at all for anyone.
Mm-hmm. And we see Jamie Graves throwing her changeup there. And, you know, that pitch didn't work for her this time, but at least you show it to the hitter. At least you throw off the hitter's timing a little bit. And that makes the rest of your pitches that much more effective. And we see her there late on the next pitch after the changeup.
Crowd wanted to call on that one. Didn't get it as it goes to a full count. Becky Newbury looking over the dugout for the next pitch call. Corners are just about even with the bags here on this full count pitch to Wiest. And walk number 3 of the game for Graves. First time it hasn't been an intentional one. 2 aboard, nobody out. And Jonna Mike, the batter, a strikeout victim her first time
number
out.
11, Jonna Mike.
We're putting a lot of pressure on our defense, and hopefully Jamie Graves will start working ahead on the hitters. But here, you know, you have runners at first and second with no one out. You're making it more difficult on yourself.
Little strategy conference for the Huskies. And let's talk a bit there as we look at Sue Enquist, the first season now after sharing coaching duties with Sharon Backus, that she has become the head coach in her own right. What's that done differently for this UCLA program?
Well, I think Sue is, and I don't want to say militant, but she is tough. She is aggressive. She is a go-getter. And I think UCLA is actually a little bit more disciplined. And they're taking on a new kind of little aura about them. They're coming out, I mean, both these teams, as you said, you know, have taken on a coaching change. Of course, John Rittman going to Stanford to become the head coach, and then Sue Enquist taking over for Sharon Backus.
Huskies trying to run a little defensive play there. Pickering trying to creep in behind Ochoa, who gets back safely. Newbury's throw a little bit in the dust, and Pickering made a nice defensive play to keep that one from going on through.
Sarah does a great job of holding off runners off the base. Doesn't let him.
Little flare will drop in for the base hit. A nice piece of hitting by Mike. Ochoa rounding the throw in. Newbury drops the ball, and the runner able to score. That was a great throw from the outfield, and that is another part of this Husky team is solid outfield defense. They had a chance to nail Ochoa, who was a bit slow getting around the bags, but unable to do it. It'll go as an RBI for Jonna Mike, and it's 2-1.
Great job again here of going to right center field, just over the glove of Sarah Pickering. Leah Francis does a great job, takes one step, fires the ball to home plate. Becky Newbury just looks up for the runner a hair before she has the ball in her glove.
Newbury being attended to down in the Washington dugout. So Wiest will be on at third. And Mike moving up to second on the play at the plate. Karen Hoshizaki will be up for UCLA when we return to action.
Situation here that the Huskies are in, you see how important it is to get the first out.
It's a good point.
And the Husky softball team will resume play on April 15th.
What a big play that would have been if they'd been able to nail Ochoa. Get the lead out. Newbury looks as though she might have gotten cut. Here's the throw one more time.
The doubleheader starting at 1 o'clock.
Great throw, right on line from Leah Francis. Just comes up.
At 1 p.m.
Trying to see where Becky might have gotten hit on the arm here on this play. We take another look.
It's her right hand. Maybe perhaps she had a, that is her right hand that she did break the finger. She has a W-shaped break in her pinky, and she's still playing with that. But it seemed like they're taping up something with her elbow. Maybe it was loosened.
Might have
in the play.
Yeah, she might have also scraped in trying to make that move across the plate for the tag. Might have scraped on a shin guard, something like that. So that's a possibility as well. That's why they call them the tools of ignorance, I guess, sometimes. Hoshizaki steps in and swinging away here. Of course, with the infield drawn in the way it is, it really opens up some potential alleys, even for someone who's not a particularly strong hitter.
Well, here, if you can just make contact, just because of the short angle the infielders have to take.
Tara, good play there on the one hopper to Pickering. Good job. She did not let the ball come back down. Big difference right there.
Tara does such an outstanding job. She can have her momentum completely coming towards the plate and throw off balance and make a throw to first base. I mean, she really can throw anywhere on the field from any direction. See Tara do a great job. She gets a great jump. She comes right in. Her momentum's going towards home plate, but she throws across her body and is able to get she's killing me today. Hoshizaki in time.
We look at Heather. She has such good reaction time too, Angie. There's a lot of third basemen who are going to have to play that on another hop, and she fielded it at waist level. Little slapper up the middle by Fritz. Pickering will hang on to the ball. Run will score. Should go as an infield hit. We'll see. It is. and an RBI for Lori Fritz to tie the game at 2-2.
Left fielder number 22, Courtney Dale.
Weist coming across with the second run.
Weist doing a good job right there of reading it. Ground ball in the dirt, it just gets over the pitcher's head and to continue coming forward and being able to score there.
Lori Fritz with her 14th RBI of the season. Still just one gone, runners at the corners for Courtney Dale. And Dale 2 for 2 so far today. Last time up, she put one just inside the right field line.
Jamie Graves has got to get Courtney Dale here, especially if she doesn't want to pitch to Nuveman and 2 more hitters. She's got to record an out here.
Through the right side, Pickering unable to get to it. UCLA will take the lead on the single and an RBI for Courtney Dale. So give the Bruins credit. Deanne Burns has settled on the mound, and UCLA has come up with a big inning here in the 4th, and Teresa Wilson will come out to talk to her freshman pitcher.
UCLA doing a good job of putting the ball in play. They haven't hit Jamie Graves very hard. The last couple of hits have just been on the ground, and when you hit it on the ground and you hit it on the ground hard, they can, they can find holes.
I'll tell you what, never mind the stick of Nuveman. Courtney Dale's been the hitting star so far as we watch again. 3 for 3, and this time she picks up the RBI.
And the men's and women's tennis teams host the Oregon Ducks next Saturday in the Nordstrom Tennis
Situation
Center.
again here, Angie, where Teresa just goes out and tries to settle everybody down.
I agree. Let her know, look, the damage isn't done. They scored 3 runs. We'll come back. We'll get it. Let's just worry about what we have to do right now, not worry about what will be or what can be.
Ochoa opened the inning with a double, the first of 4 hits in the inning for UCLA, along with a walk, and the Bruins have taken the lead.
First baseman number 14,
Aaliyah Polson stepping in, had a sacrifice the first time and grounded to second in the 3rd inning. She's 0 for 1. And takes one right down the heart of the plate that time.
In softball, the lefty versus lefty is not such an overmatch combination like it is in baseball.
Towards right center, long run. Rosser won't get to it. It'll go to the wall. Rounding 3rd is Dale. She's going to challenge the throw to the plate. That's high. Newbury with a nice grab, but 2 more runs in for the Bruins. 2 RBI double for Aaliyah Polson, and it's 5-2 in favor of UCLA.
Aaliyah Polson is one of those left-handed hitters that can really hurt you. She's a great hitter. I played with her at the Olympic Festival in '94 down in San Antonio. She's just got great mechanics.
And Washington will make a pitching change now as Eve Gaw will come on in relief of Jamie Graves. As UCLA gets to the freshman for 5 runs in the inning. As we make a pitching substitution, we'll take a timeout. It's the Bruins on top of the Huskies 5-2 on Fox Sports Northwest. Welcome back to Seattle after giving up just 2 hits over the first 3 innings. Jamie Graves gets touched for 5 hits, 5 runs so far here in the 4th. Eve Gaw coming on to pitch with Polson on in scoring position. And the big stick, Stacy Nuveman, getting set to hit for UCLA. You get a look at Graves in the dugout. Before the game, we had a chance to talk to Sue Inquest about her outstanding freshman player, and here's what she had to say about Stacy Nuveman.
She's extremely talented, and I think what, to her credit, what has made her be so successful is that she's been so open. She came into our program, and we really tried to create some more things for her behind the plate as a catcher as well as in the box. And we've just worked very hard at trying to make her a tough out, whether it be down and in, up and in, down and out, up and out, change up. So all the credit goes to Stacy Nuveman, and it's just nice to see a freshman capitalizing on her talent early on.
You know, I don't know, Angie, if I can think of another Pac-10 player who's earned this sort of respect from an opposing team. I can't remember anyone being intentionally walked like this before.
No, not three in a row. Usually you do an intentional walk for a situation. Although the Huskies have found themselves with runners in scoring position or runners on base when Nuveman has gotten up. But Newman deserves it. I mean, she's put up the numbers her freshman year.
Eve Gaw on the pitch, an 8-5 record this season and a 3.01 ERA. And you and I were talking before the game, and as you said, there have been a couple different Eve Gaws out on the mound this season.
Eve Gaw can come out, you know, the Eve Gaw, I've seen her throw a no-hitter to Berkeley, and then I've seen her let up 3 runs in the first inning against ASU last week. So, you know, it depends on which Eve Gaw shows up to play. If the Eve Gaw shows up that she's capable of, she can be very effective.
Well, the Huskies need the All-American one to show up right now. Still 2 aboard and just 1 out. And Marshall takes another called strike, so Julia's 0-2.
Eve again has a screwball just like Jamie Graves. And the thing about seeing Eve Gaw after Jamie Graves is she's got a lot more speed. Just getting the inside corner there.
Polson at second, Newman at first. Marshall is 0 for 2 today. Towards left, Shelley Brown freezing for a moment, then comes in to make the grab, and there are 2 down.
Again, we saw Spidiachi from Washington take a similar cut. The pitch was outside, and Julie Marshall just tries to pull it. And again, if you try to pull an outside pitch, it just doesn't want to go there. The outside pitch wants to go to right field, you should let it go there.
Nicole Ochoa opened this inning with a double. Came around to score the first of the 5 Bruin runs. Out of play and into the crowd. Fine reaching catch there. Terrible throw back though as he leaves it short and endangers the front row seats.
Like $1 million catch and a nickel throw.
Yeah, all glove, no arm, and we haven't seen him hit yet, so. Went with that one, drifting towards right, long run. Pickering can't get to it. Thought for second it might hold up long enough for Leah Francis, but goes as a long foul, and it's 0-2 now to Ochoa.
Actually, I thought Spidiachi was going to have the best chance at catching that. It looked like she was right there. She just, I don't know if Sarah Pickering might have called her off of it or a little miscommunication there, I'm not sure.
It is an ideal day, as you see, very light wind and a beautiful day for softball. It has not been a picture-perfect inning, however, for the Huskies. Gaw will try to shut things down right here. Throws that one way over the head of Newbury. Runners will advance on the wild pitch. A lot of noise down on the UCLA side right now.
Rise ball, we see Eve Gaw just gets a little bit too much underneath that pitch. Doesn't quite bend her backside, causes it to just rise up above the catcher.
Yeah, that was a rise ball with too much yeast in it. 1-2 pitch. She'll check swing into the screen.
As a hitter, you hate to get a strike like that. If you have 2, it's not such a big deal. You're fouling it off, but when you're, say, 2-1, and it bounces you up to 2-2, it's so frustrating.
That was definitely a protection half swing that last time. Reaches out, Gaw stabs as well. Well, I thought that was a hopper, but it was a line drive back to Gaw. She slams it to the mound and closes the door on the Bruins in the 4th, but not before UCLA comes up with 5 runs in the inning, coming on 5 hits, no Husky errors, 2 runners left on base. Huskies will try to rally in the bottom of the 4th. Bottom half of the 4th inning. Leanne Rosser will try to get a rally started for Washington. She'll lead things off to be followed by Leah Francis and Heather Tarr. Deanne Burns with a 3-run advantage with which to work. And more importantly, after giving up 2 early runs, Burns has retired 9 of the next 10 Huskies that she's faced. Off the glove of Mike.
Leanne Rosser's been so effective this year at laying down the base hit bunt. Even with a great arm like Stacy Nuveman has, her placement is so good, and she's so fast. So she's a very powerful runner.
Corners coming in very tight against Rosser. Called on the outside corner. It's 1 and 2. Really, I think here, Angie, a sort of a doubly dangerous situation. You had Burns rattled early, but now she's settled back down and has a 3-run cushion to work with. So for a veteran, she can kind of really go to work and nibble at corners and so on.
Well, momentum is so important, and right now I'd say UCLA definitely has the momentum for this game.
Rosser strikes out. Second strikeout of the game for Burns.
You see Leanne Rosser's head just come off that just a little bit, and that's all it takes. You know, the difference between a ground ball, a line drive, and a fly ball is all of 1/4 of an inch. And, I mean, if your head moves just that much, just that little bit, you can completely miss the ball. Both the last hitter, Leanne Rosser and Leah Francis, both split time last year and have come in and have started in center field and right field respectively, and both have done a wonderful job adapting.
Fouled back. And 2 very good guns in the outfield with those 2 as well.
I think Leanne Rosser, is probably the best arm in the country. I mean, by far, she's had so many assists for an outfielder. It's hard to say how many she's had because she's also come in and played third base as well. But to break it up, and I'm curious to see what she has just as an outfielder because, you know, Teresa Wilson says, I hope, you know, you get to the point where you hope runners run on Leanne Rosser from center field.
That pitch away to Francis, it's 1 and 2. Outfield playing her to the off field as we get a look at the Husky head coach. You can see the center fielder, Ochoa, shaded towards right center, so a big gap for Francis. She's unable to get to it, though, and Beanne Burns with back-to-back strikeouts.
Third baseman number 22.
Does not look anything like the pitcher that we watched in the opening part of the first inning.
You see Leah Francis swinging at that inside pitch. And obviously the outfield shading her to right center knows that Leah Francis does like to go to right field, and Beanne Burns testing her on that inside half of the plate.
Heather Tarr popped out in foul territory on a good running catch by the shortstop Marshall. Well, we talked about teams that want to come back and score after giving up runs to their opponent. Washington right now on the verge of going down 1-2-3 to Burns in the following inning, and that's not a way to get your momentum going again, is it?
Exactly, and we talked, you know, I just mentioned momentum switches, and the change in momentum. You know, in the beginning of this game, you saw Washington come out and score 2 runs, and then actually shut UCLA down the next inning. But then UCLA getting a little momentum of their own, coming back and scoring 5 in 1 inning, and then. And now Washington getting a chance to face them again and going down 1-2 quickly.
Boy, Beanne looks like she's actually got more pop on the ball right now.
Beanne's a strong pitcher, and I'm not surprised if she won't continue to get stronger. She changed her momentum about 3 years ago in between her freshman and sophomore year, and I think it did help her get a little bit more speed on the ball.
Marshall able to make the play, and the Huskies are retired in order in the bottom of the 4th. Nothing across. We're through 4 innings of a scheduled 7-inning contest. Third-ranked UCLA leads number 6 Washington 5-2. We'll be back with more softball action from Seattle on Fox Sports Northwest. Top half of the 5th inning, bottom part of the order for UCLA. Designated player Kim Wiest set to lead things off. A sacrifice in the 2nd inning, walked and scored in the 4th. Eve Gaw on in relief of Jamie Graves.
Eve Gaw doing a good job there of working ahead of the hitters.
We were talking before the game, and you were sharing a little bit about Teresa's philosophy about who to start in different games of a doubleheader, and never really knows almost until game time sometimes, you were saying.
Well, the pitchers don't know, that's for sure. Teresa doesn't like to tell the pitchers who's throwing because she's afraid the other two will
ease up a little bit.
Ease up a little bit, exactly.
And here's a situation where if Eve had that, well, all of a sudden you're called to throw, so.
Teresa also is the number one, speaking of pitching, that calls the pitches. She's one of the coaches that likes to call every single pitch. And wants to know what's working, what's not working, and why that's not working. See Eve throwing her curveball there. It gets a little bit underneath it and goes up on it, but it's still effective with its break.
Mixes up speeds. Newbury will have to come up with that one. Makes the flip to Spediacci for the out.
Great changeup right there by Eve Gaw. And she has about 10 miles per hour from the difference between her fastball and the changeup. And the changeup's such an effective pitch if you can make it work for you. Up there, and Becky does a good job of hopping after it and being able to throw her out at first base.
Jonna Mike, a single and a strikeout in the contest. Corners creep in a little bit towards short. Leitzinger up with it cleanly, and 2 gone. Major League Baseball comes your way on Fox Sports Northwest. Seattle Mariners taking on the Detroit Tigers. An early road game, 4 o'clock, Wednesday, April 16th. If you can't get home in time to see the entire thing, you'll get a chance to see it again. Instant replay follows immediately, starting at 7 o'clock. A double dose of the Mariners as they take on the Tigers Wednesday, right here on Fox Sports Northwest. Called strike to Karen Hoshizaki. She steps out of the box and stares intently at the outside corner. Sue Enquist joining Teresa Wilson in the appeals court on that one. Pop foul. A little hopper, tar there once again. What's the most frustrating thing being a hitter against a pitcher like Eve Gaw who can change speeds, locations, pitches so many different ways? You're a former hitter. What's the toughest thing about being in there?
The toughest thing about facing Eve is that you can't dig in. I mean, you don't know where she's throwing. I mean, some of the time she doesn't know where she's throwing. We saw the rise ball hit the backstop, it hit the mats, but there's a window behind there, and Eve will hit that a couple times a game, and it sounds like a gun goes off.
Just got a piece of that to stay alive at 1-2.
Sometimes if you see a slapper, when I say slapper, I mean the kind of hitter that Karen Hoshizaki is, moving a little bit too quickly through the box, you'll throw her a changeup because she's got to stop to hit it, and sometimes she's already gone past the strike.
Halfway down the line as it floats home. Eve tried to put that one on the outside corner and just missed. 2-2. Hoshizaki saying thank you for that call as Gaw flirted with the outside corner.
Well, the one thing you hope from an umpire, as both a pitcher and really actually as a hitter, is that they stay consistent. If they're going to call the outside corner, that's fine, as long as I know you're going to call it. But if you don't call it the first strike, but then you ring me up at the third strike, then I'm frustrated because, if you stay consistent, I can stay consistent. But if you're everywhere, it really is going to rattle me as a hitter.
Fouled back, yeah, and a good pitcher takes advantage of that too, because when they figure out exactly where you're going to call, they'll move out to that spot and then just continue to place the ball right there.
Exactly. Heather Meyer, thrower from last year's team, the Pac-10 championship team, did a great job of that with her curveball. I mean, she would just catch the edge of that outside corner every single time.
2-2 to Hoshizaki. She was on her way down the line again.
See Hoshizaki, she was just on her way down the line, and she's just able to kind of throw her hands at that pitch to foul it off and stay alive.
She does do a pretty good job of protecting the plate, considering that early sprint out of the box.
Generally, slappers are at the bottom of a team's list for striking out. Generally, slappers don't strike out too often. They don't have to make good contact with the ball. They just have to make contact with the ball. And just because they're moving through the box, if they can just make contact, you're putting a lot of pressure on the defense. If you can make it down to second base, or excuse me, to first base rather, in 2.8 seconds or less, that really puts a lot of pressure on the defense to be able to field the ball, catch the ball, and throw the ball within 2.8 seconds.
Is her first base hit of the season. Hoshizaki was 0 for 7 before that. And they can throw the ball into the dugout.
Second baseman number 3, Lori
She gets her first base hit, and I'm sure that takes a little bit of pressure off her shoulders.
Tough place for the defense because the second baseman, Sarah Pickering, has got to stay honest and be able to get to first base if she decides to bunt it. And slappers will do that even with 2 strikes because perhaps the corners move back. They work on that a lot, and they generally have the confidence to do that. And then, of course, the shortstop is played over in the 5-6 hole towards the third base line.
And now you go back to the leadoff hitter, who has had a 14-game hit streak earlier this season and has hit safely in 31 of 38 games, make it 32 out of 39 with her single in the 4th inning. Fritz also called out on strikes, reached base on an error. Corner's just about a step in front of the bag now, Tar and Spediacci. 2 gone. That one looked very close to the corner. Runner doesn't advance. It's 1-1.
A lot of communication out there letting Becky Newbury know that she doesn't have a play at 2. And again, we really see Leanne Rosser playing a shallow center field.
I'll say that's again as tight as I've ever seen anybody, and there's a lot of space to right center field. Little slap diving knockdown by Leitzinger, but that's about all she's going to do. Tar was in closely, and it's an infield single for Lori Fritz.
Slappers, the 9-1 for UCLA, do a great job. Karen Hoshizaki and then Lori Fritz doing a great job of setting the table for the rest of the lineup for UCLA.
Left fielder number 22, Courtney Dale.
And that's exactly what a slapper's supposed to do. Get on so that you can be scored by our big guns, by our 2-3-4 or our 3-4-5.
Interesting situation here. I mean, Gaw retired the first 2, 1-2, and now has given up, well, the seeing eye singles to Hoshizaki and Fritz. So again, hasn't been touched hard, but runners on.
I'm even afraid to say this, but Yvonne really has had a problem with that this year. Is she will get the first 2 outs, but really has a hard time putting the nail in the coffin against teams. I don't know if that's a mental problem or a physical problem, but I would lean towards mental of getting the job done, starting it and then finishing it.
Well, she came in to shut them down the last inning when it was a real crucial situation, 2 on, and got 2 outs to close out the inning, but kind of letting the Bruins off the hook here again in the 5th. Dale has singled in each trip to the plate so far. And just about got another one, got out in front of that one a little too much. Otherwise, we might have been looking at another Bruin run across the plate.
Especially with 2 out, you know that the runners on first and second are get great jumps because they're going on the pit, or they're going on the swing rather. Again, another outside pitch. Eve throws a curveball, and she tries to pull that outside pitch and doesn't hit it very strong and isn't able to get it fair.
Defense playing her pretty straight away now. Gaw missing.
That was a smart pitch by Gaw there if she could just get it there, because you have her leaning outside and over the outside half of the plate, and then if you can bust her inside, a lot of times a hitter isn't able to, even a hitter as strong as Courtney Dale, able to get her hands around to it.
2-1 pitch. Oh, got her way out in front of that one. So now you've got her at 2-2 and pretty well confused, I think, after that last pitch.
This was one of my favorite counts when I'm on the defense, and this is one of the worst counts as me as a hitter. Just way out in front. She tries to hold it back, but can't quite check it. On the deuces, with 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Actually, we have number 22, Courtney Dale, at bat, so the deuces are really wild now.
You're really reaching now. full count as that one tails inside.
And I say I don't like that count as a hitter just because statistically, not statistically, as a ball player, it's very unlucky. So usually the pitcher has a ball or a pitch to waste. You have 2 strikes, there's 2 outs, and statistically, it's tough to get a hit on that count.
Runners go, and a called strike 3. Dale was hoping that one would float out of the zone, and perhaps maybe a generous call there, as it looked as though it might be a little bit high. UCLA, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. Bottom of the 5th coming up. Bruins lead the Huskies 5-2. Bottom half of the 5th inning, and the 8-9 hitters started off. First baseman Jen Spidiacci to start. Eve Gaw will follow, and then Shelly Brown. Deanne Burns working with a 3-run lead towards right field. Hoshizaki calling for it. First pitch swing, and Spidiacci retired for the 2nd time today.
Strange for Washington. All 3 of their pitchers were in the starting lineup. You had Jamie Graves, the freshman left-hander. You had Eve Gaw in the designated player spot, and you have Jen Spidiacci playing first base. And of course, because of the re-entry rule in softball, Jamie Graves can still come back into the game if Eve gets in trouble. Or of course, Spidiacci perhaps might even be warming up in between innings.
You saw the late call there. Deanne Burns looking over at the 3rd base umpire after this one was called foul.
Eve just is out in front of that a little bit and is able to throw her bat and hook it foul.
You know, folks who follow this program might be thinking, geez, what's Eve doing hitting? But it's, as you said before the game, been a situation where because of injuries, she just hasn't had the chance to be a hitter before.
Eve Gaw is a great hitter. She hit in high school, and she was very effective at that level. But like you said, Todd, I mean, she's really been been held together by duct tape for the last 3 years here, or during her career at Washington. So this is the first time she's really been healthy enough to do so.
Burns gets her that time. We talked about Deanne Burns getting stronger as the game goes along. 3 of the last 5 outs that she's recorded, and 5 of the last 7 have been strikeouts.
And that's not so much physically. That is mentally, and when you have a strong offense behind you like UCLA does, that gives you the confidence to go out there and go at hitters.
Shelly Brown, 2 for 2 today with a run scored. Again, the Huskies got their first 2 hitters of the game aboard. They came around to score, and Washington has done very little since, as Deanne Burns has allowed just 1 hit over the last 3 2/3 innings. Brown way out in front. She's halfway to the mound on that one, never mind running up the line. If she follows through, she's going to be able to shake hands with Deanne on the delivery.
It's actually a dangerous pitch to try to bunt. Her original plan was to bunt this pitch. Deanne, I'm not sure if it's a changeup or just something off speed, so she's showing bunt for a long time. That gives the corners a chance to get up in on her. You see the corners, how tight they are there, as well as the second base and shortstop. And not giving her a long time to run.
Yeah, and remember last time Shelly was able to hit that perfect flare over the head of Nuveman at 3rd. She's in a 1-2 situation now. Just missing outside is Burns, and if that had been a little closer, there would have been no way Shelly could have protected herself.
Shelly did a good job. You want to see a slapper when they finish their crossover going right at the pitcher rather than falling off to first base. If you see a slapper doing that, then you should probably paint that outside corner, but Shelly does a good job.
Jammed her inside, Nuveman up with the slow roller and makes the toss across to recorder, and the Huskies are retired in order for the 2nd consecutive inning. 5 innings are in the books. UCLA 5, Washington 2. We welcome you back to Seattle, top half of the 6th inning. 3, 4, 5 hitters set for UCLA. Aaliyah Polson to get things started as you get a look at Eve Gaw. Polson with a sacrifice and a 2 RBI double. And we want to take a quick second and congratulate her because those 2 RBIs made Aaliyah Polson the all-time career RBI leader at UCLA. And the double also made her the career doubles leader. She moved past Lisa Fernandez, so a very significant at bat last time for Aaliyah Polson in the 4th inning. It was also significant for the Bruins as she brought home 2 of the 5 runs in that inning.
You got Aaliyah Polson. She's a power hitter, but she's also got pretty decent speed. So, like you said, the career double mark, she can stretch out a single into a double with her. She can leg it out.
Off the glove of Spediacci, diving, made the play in time. Good recovery.
Great play by Spediacci. Again, we see her coming up just a little bit too quickly. Ideally, as an infielder, you want to give with your hands and not with your feet. We kind of see her stand up to give with the ball. She does a great job staying with it and then making a diving play into the bag to record the out. Nice job by Jennifer Spediacci.
Spent time as a pitcher and an infielder in her high school career, as we get a look at the freshman from Washington High in Fremont, California, and a called strike. Wait a minute, they pitched to Nuveman. Hold everything. 3 intentional walks to Nuveman, and they're finally going to throw something at her.
Well, I hope, by this time she's cooled off. She had her pregame warm-up, and she hasn't swung a bat in a couple innings.
There you go, got her rusty, and she pops out to Pickering.
Shortstop number 32, Julie.
Great job by Eve Gaw there, resetting herself because she hasn't been pitched to and not being scared of Nuveman, going right at her, recording that first strikeout, and then going at her again and getting her to pop up in the infield.
Now let's watch and see what she does. Again, 2 down and the base is empty. In the situation where you want to bear down, close it out, get your team back to the plate and see what you can do.
I'm wondering right now if head coach Teresa Wilson isn't wondering, should I have brought Eve Gaw in perhaps 1 or 2 hitters before? But hindsight is always 20/20. Yeah. And you always want to see a pitcher work out of it.
Jamie Graves was sailing along up till that point. That's just
statistics. The hitters get a good look at the pitcher. They see her a couple times, and they're going to start to catch up. They're going to start seeing her stuff.
Gaw ahead of the hitter here at 0-2. Little looper. Tar off the heel of the glove. I think she might have taken her eyes off that a little bit to check, make sure there wasn't a collision. And it's just a hunch, but it looked as though she might have done that.
It's tough because it hung up in the air just enough time that a couple other infielders could have been near. I think you're right. And also, you got to remember, an infielder isn't used to running for a few steps, and they're not used to running smoothly. So, when you start running on your heels, your eyes start bouncing, and you can't quite watch it into your glove. You're not smooth with your hands.
3rd error of the game against Washington. And Ochoa steps in once again.
Again, we see a little problem here, and nothing to Eve's credit, but getting 2 outs and then not being able to finish the inning. And actually, when I mentioned that earlier, I should have said that about the Washington team in general. It's not just Eve Gaw's problem. It's a team problem that recording the 3rd out has been tough.
2-0 now to Ochoa. Wiest waiting on deck. Again, if you joined us late, Washington got 2 runs in the top half of the bottom half rather, of the 1st inning. First 2 batters coming around to score. UCLA struck back with all 5 runs in the top of the 4th. Into right center, and again, Rosser playing the other way, won't get to it. Hits off the top of the wall. Marshall rounding at 3rd. She'll come in to score. It goes as a double and an RBI for Nicole Ochoa, and UCLA takes a 6-2 lead.
You see the ball coming off hard, and Leah Francis does a good job of backing up. Leanne Rosser, the center fielder, has to go ahead and play that ball. Leah Francis is the right fielder, does a good job of coming in as a backup off the wooden wall. And it's kind of strange at Washington. They have one of the few wooden walls in the country. Many times it's a chain link wall. In fact, it's the only wooden wall I know of in the country.
Now the assistant coach out talking to the umpire for a minute. I guess they wanted to check and see. They thought it might have gone off the yellow strip there for a second. They were pointing out to the wall, and I don't know what they were trying to contest or confer about it all there. But you saw on the replay how long a run that was. I mean, it was an impossible run for Leanne Rosser where she was playing in center field as we get a look at the fence. And I'm not really sure. It was a very quick point that the assistant coach, Kelly Inoue, made and went back to the dugout, or the first base coaching box, rather. First pitch to Wiest misses.
So, well, it definitely stays in. It does hit the top part of the fence, but definitely stays within the ballpark, not bouncing over and coming back in.
Not quite sure what she was.
Perhaps just checking to make sure the the umpire rather got out and got a good look at it.
Leitzinger juggling a little bit, but comes up with the play. So the error proves costly to Washington as it allows UCLA to get another run. Came on a hit, the one error, one runner left on base. Bottom of the sixth coming up, 6-2 Bruins. And 3 for the Huskies as UCLA moves it to a 6-2 lead going to the bottom of the sixth inning. And time now for a little Husky softball trivia. Who holds the Husky career record for highest batting average and most stolen bases? Are you stumped?
Actually, I know this person. I do know her.
I wasn't even halfway through the question. I get swatted on the arm, and she's going, me.
Well, you guys surprised me. You guys surprised me.
429.
Yeah.
99 stolen. Boy.
Could not quite get up into the triple digits, though.
Well, they just didn't give you enough opportunities to run. That was the situation, right? Those are impressive numbers.
Thank you, Todd.
You got to pass those along to the rest of the crew now, right? 429. It's the Rogers Hornsby of softball here, folks.
You see Rosie Leitzinger just kind of wave at that changeup, not doing a good job of keeping her hands back. Because as a slapper, you got to continue going forward with your legs. You just got to keep your hands back for another step. Sometimes as a slapper, you get into a rhythm where you're making contact on the same step every time. With the changeup, you just have to take another step and keep your hands back.
And they punch her out. Good play that time, and pretty quick reaction by Nuverman.
It was, because a ball that bounces like that, it looks like it's going to come to you. You see it, it's going to bounce, and then it just kind of stays right there, and you've got to charge it. Nuverman does a good job of coming up, fielding this, just getting Leitzinger in the nick of time.
Yeah, that was a real sitter that time, straight up. I thought she might have had a chance, but I think that's probably the best break on the ball that Nuverman's had so far today, too. She was really in tight against Rosie. Pickering taking one inside. Doubled to bring home Brown with the first run of the game, then called out on strikes in the third, just the 9th time she's struck out this season.
These two have seen each other for 4 years straight, Beanne Burns and Sarah Pickering.
Getting tired of one another's company.
Well, so far they're pretty much even. We have the strikeout by Beanne's and the double off the wall by Sarah.
This is a tough situation for the Husky team. I mean, they're down to 5 outs now, and you can't try to get, obviously, 4 runs back all at once. You see, as we said, how much Beanne Burns has settled and has rung up 5 strikeouts in that stretch, too, of retiring 14 out of 16. But you've got to kind of chip back at things really a hit at a time right now.
You can't take it upon yourself at the plate to think you're going to win this game in a stroke. You need base runners. I mean, we need to get the bases loaded before we can even think about this game being within reach.
Well, off speed misses upstairs, and it's 2-2. Outfield playing straight away and deep. They're ready to let anything drop in front of them right now to prevent extra bases for Pickering. Take a look here as we pull back. You can see, I think that's about the deepest outfield alignment we've had for anybody all day. Lined right at Ochoa. She broke in a little bit and then circled back around to make the grab. She's ready to trot on into the dugout, but Nicole, that's only 2 outs.
Sarah Pickering hit that ball very well. You see Beanne Burns laughing about it. You're glad your center fielder just happened to be right there where she hit it.
And they actually had moved her about 4 feet to the right center field position, so she really was put right in the perfect spot that time by Sue Enquist.
Sue Enquist probably patting herself on the back. I knew it the whole time.
Becky Newbury looking for her first hit today. Grounded to second in the first, popped out to short in the third inning.
I was talking with Beanne a little bit before the game, and if she was going to approach this game any differently, and she said no, you know, this year every game is important, and especially with the Pac-10 being so topsy-turvy. Nice catch by the right fielder right there. But that she have to go out and play every game like it's the College World Series.
That's 3 2/3 innings of hitless ball now for Beanne Burns. We go to the top of the 7th. The Bruins lead the Huskies 6-2. Top half of the 7th inning. UCLA with a 4-run lead. Bottom part of the lineup to get things started for the Bruins. Jonna Mike stepping in now against Eve Gaw to start things off. He takes a called strike. Struck out in the second, singled and scored in the fourth. Grounded to short in the fifth.
When you're facing such an overpowering pitcher as far as speed goes, like Eve, sometimes for Eve it's a great job to start off with the changeup like that because they're really expecting something coming in there quickly.
Mike to be followed by Hoshizaki. And then the top of the order, Lori Fritz scheduled. Grounded foul past Sue Enquist down the line.
You saw Eve Goss start her off with changeup and then tried to get that screwball inside. Like I said, after you see the changeup, generally you're going to be late on the next pitch, and it's even harder to get around on an inside pitch because obviously you got to hit the inside pitch before you would hit, say, an outside pitch. An outside pitch you'd let get deeper on you. But she doesn't get her the first time, so she goes there again, gets her to foul off the ball.
And then nails her on the following pitch. One hit by and one walk. Enquist coming down the line to have a conversation with Rich Hobson, the home plate umpire. Bruins going to make a substitution here, perhaps. We'll see in a second as Hobson's checking the lineup card. You're going to have a runner come out. It'll be Nikki Barbieri, a junior from Carpinteria, California. Interesting story here as we see Sue Enquist making the substitution. Barbieri was the team manager for the Bruins for 2 years and now is on the roster. She is the Herb Washington of this UCLA squad. 24 games, no at-bats. She's the pinch runner only, and she's 3 for 4 in stolen base situations. A little bit of a surprise that you'd go to this situation, although if you can get a 5th run across and you know, prevent a grand slam from tying it up. But
well, it's late in the game, and you know, because of the re-entry rule in softball, you can always bring the starter back in. As long as they start, they can come back in the game. And
they're going to try to squeeze her up. Tarr with the throw in time for the force, and a real late break, I think, that time by Barbieri. Another good fielding play by Heather Tarr.
You know, I was just about to say about Heather Tarr, if you saw her feet, all the way she was looking to go to with that, and that's the only way you're going to ever throw out a runner at second base on a bunt. You see her body and everything is faced towards second base. She knew she was going second base all the way, and that's a veteran for you. You know, just reading it off the bat, knowing that that bunt was just a little bit hard by Hoshizaki, and that she was going to be able to get her at 2.
Hoshizaki on the fielder's choice, one down, little slap hit right in the glove of Tarr. Double play as the runner was going, and it's the Heather Tarr inning in the top of the 7th. UCLA going nothing across, but the Huskies will have to come up with a lot of magic here as they head to their final at bat, trailing UCLA 6-2. Stay tuned, we'll have more Pac-10 softball after this timeout on Fox Sports Northwest. Last chance for the Huskies in the bottom of the 7th. Leanne Rosser fouling off the bunt attempt as she tries to get things started. Scheduled to be followed by Leah Francis and Heather Tarr.
For the Huskies today, you know, the slappers, the 1-2 have done a pretty good job of setting the table. Sarah Pickering did get the double. She struck out once, but you really put a lot of pressure on your 3-4-5, and if your 3-4-5 aren't producing, it's going to be tough to win a lot of ball games. So hopefully right here we'll see, we're starting out with 5, but 5, 6, 7 we'll get a chance to produce right here.
Just misses outside. You know something, Angie, this matchup is really turning into a pretty heated rivalry between these two schools as well. UCLA has a 14-3 advantage in the series as we look at Sue Enquist, but the Huskies have won their 3 out of the last 5 meetings between the two, and of course got the big win in the semifinals of the College World Series last year. Rosser with the leadoff single, but it's pretty intense competition between the two teams, and of course the Bruins came up here and won last year in 1 game. Meanwhile, going over to second is Rosser, as apparently no one bothered to call time officially. Sue Enquist is now going to come out and call for it and talk to the umpire. Now time is called, but little mistake there apparently. And she's going to come over and talk to the third base umpire, Bill Silvas.
The situation here is Leanne Rosser is live until she touches first base again. As long as she continues to move, she is able to take second. And that is not the first time, that is not the second time. That's probably about the 15th time that Leanne Rosser has taken advantage of a sleeping defense. You can't really argue that. That's why your infield, you guys can't be congratulating each other after an infield single or lackadaisical after an outfield single to the outfield. Good job right there by Leanne Rosser, keeping her hands back on the off-speed pitch. You see her, she never quite reaches first base and then just takes second base.
Sue Enquist has now managed to corral all 3 of the umpires.
Hear the crowd getting into it a little bit.
I think you've got to score it as a double. You can't score it as a stolen base because the ball hasn't been put back into play officially. I think that goes as a double, doesn't it?
I think they've always recorded it as a single, but you bring up a good point, Todd.
I don't think you can claim a stolen base, but because the ball was never brought back into position.
Well, then we should go and redo my stats, Todd, because I had.
Now I've done it.
Angie, would like.
Angie wants more bases down here now. So.
I would like several doubles then added onto my career total.
We'll try to come up with an answer for you by Tuesday, which is when we'll be back again here on Fox Sports Northwest. So there's Angie's Rulebook Trivia coming up Tuesday. Sue Enquist still not happy with the call as she has retreated to the UCLA dugout. I think this is a situation where you almost have a chance of making too much out of it. When you've got a 4-run lead, okay, they get somebody aboard, but let's just go back in, shut down the doors. I mean, that broke a streak of 11 consecutive batters retired by Beanne Burns, but she's been pitching a pretty good game. You don't want to have her cool off on the mound for too long.
And the other people you don't want to upset or get out of the rhythm is the umpires, because if you're going to argue with them about this right here, you don't want them starting to squeeze Beanne or cause problems on a tight call on the bases.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. We'll have to dig that one up. We're all scratching our heads whether that's a fielder's choice or what precisely it is. So
I've always seen it scored as a single with a stolen base. But
okay, hey, I'll defer to your judgment. You're the stolen base expert.
It's kind of like a delayed steal almost. Say like if the catcher threw back the ball to the first baseman and then the runner decided to take off. That's the way I've always seen it. But like I said, Todd, if you find something else or we come up with something else, I'd like a couple more doubles tallied on to my.
You mean you want to take away the stolen bases? Now, wait a minute. See, then you're going to lose your career mark. So don't complain too loudly here. There's good news and bad news to all these things. So you take those stolen bases and be happy. Meanwhile, the Huskies will try to continue to build on this. And unfortunately, I don't think I brought my copy of the rule book with me, so we're going to have to dig that one up. That's a good one.
It gives us enough time by Tuesday.
You have your assignment.
Again, we see Leah Francis here trying to test the corners, and although she knows that she's not just trying to get that runner over third, she's trying to get herself on base. Sometimes, even doing that, sometimes you don't even really want to bunt the ball, but at least you bring the corners in and open the defense up for yourself. Make it harder for them to be able to dive and catch a ball that could, perhaps get by them.
See, now we're on the hook since we say we don't know what the rule is on scoring it, so they put our names up just to make us feel even worse. So 2-2 as Francis stays alive. Heather Tarr waits on deck as the Huskies try to rally here in the bottom of the 7th. That's Rosser at second. And a full count now to Francis.
Although Leanne Rosser is a great base stealing threat, you don't want to take any chances having her steal third when you're down by 4 runs.
Francis got caught on that one, and she knew it as she watched the pitch come across. Big out right there, and we see Beanne Burns again rallying when she needed to.
It's a philosophy a hitter needs to have. It's yes, 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 not no, 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 yes. You've got to be thinking that you're swinging all the way, especially on a full count, and then really try to stop yourself as soon as you read it's a ball.
That's a real good point, Angie, and I think this time of the game it becomes even more magnified. And that's the situation where you really need to be aggressive as a hitter a little bit. As Tarr takes one.
And another thing that's kind of glaring is the bottom half of the lineup. A lot of games you're going to need, if you're going to win a lot of games, you're going to need that bottom half of the lineup to produce for you. And it's kind of glaring here in the last inning of the ball game. But that goes throughout the entire game. You just really can't rely on just the top half, especially when you're playing a team like UCLA where they're strong 1 through 9.
Time called by Tarr momentarily. Way upstairs again by Burns. It's 1 and 2. Wasting one a little bit. Outfield pretty well straight away for Tarr. And again playing maybe a couple steps deeper than normal. They don't want anything to get over the heads at this point. 1-2 pitch. Good attempt there by Mike to frame that one, but it just missed on the outside corner. Thought for a minute she was going to get the call.
Tarr generally actually liked the lower half of the strike zone. She actually played baseball before she came and played high school or college softball rather.
Hooked foul as she skewered that one off the end of the bat a little bit.
See if the outfield shifts after the foul ball by Tarr. Now they're going to pretty much go back. Yeah, player straight away.
Yeah, I think Ochoa's gone a little bit maybe, but not much.
About Heather Tarr also, she is a spray hitter, although she will go to right field. If you throw it on the half of the plate, she will pull it as well.
Towards the gap, gets by the right fielder. That was not a good fielding play that time by Hoshizaki. It goes as a double and an RBI for Tarr. That's a situation where you got to knock the ball down in the outfield.
It gives you a little bit more freedom as an outfielder to dive on a ball in the gap. You have to be very careful about diving on a ball down the line because your center fielder has so far to go. But if you're going to dive, one, you should be about 80% sure that you're going to get it. And two, if you're there in enough time, like I think she was there, I think the ball just went under her glove or over her glove. You really couldn't tell from that angle, but she was there in enough time. I don't think she really tried to field that. I think it more looked like she just kind of tried to throw herself in front of it.
Yeah, watching Karen Hoshizaki out there, she appeared to have time to get to it, then slowed down and wanted to make the dive. Spediacci up, takes a called strike. She's 0 for 2, lined to third and flied to right. RBI for Tarr, her 18th. Downstairs that time by Burns. UCLA bullpen quiet, as it should be, as Beanne Burns' finally gotten touched again, but had recorded a long stretch of Husky batters retired there. In fact, these 2 hits are the first that she had in 3 2/3 innings. Sue Enquist, 9th year, 18th overall with the program. The continuity that UCLA has, they really didn't lose a whole lot with Sharon Backus becoming their director of softball operations.
And you know, it's nice to see a little bit of consistency there, because you see so much inconsistency in the Pac-10 recently. You see Ricky Gamez is the new coach at Oregon State. Kurt Walker at Oregon, or excuse me, flip that. Ricky Gamez at Oregon, right. And then Kurt Walker at Oregon State. And then you have, of course, John Rittman, the assistant, or who used to be the assistant at Washington, now takes the head coaching position at Stanford. So a lot of changes within the Pac-10, and the Pac-10, because of these coaching changes, is just continue to get stronger. Both John Rittman and Ricky Gamez, both very strong coaches, and of course Kurt Walker coming from UCLA to Oregon State.
Speedy actually strikes out. That's the 7th strikeout now for Beanne Burns, and a pinch hitter here for Washington with 2 out. Erin Helgeland, freshman from Arlington, will pinch hit for Gaw. Erin, the Seattle Times North County Athlete of the Year a year ago. And you see her numbers for the season. She also has 5 stolen bases and will be called upon to pinch hit here with 2 gone. That'll get through. First pitch swinging. Carr will score easily, and it's 6-4. Throw wasn't cut off. Down to second, skips away, and in is Helgeland as she has a bit of a collision with the shortstop Marshall, and the Huskies have cut it to 2. There is some great hitting by a cold hitter coming off the bench.
And sometimes, ideally, you know, you like to keep bunts away from the pitcher because they're the closest person to fielding it. But sometimes it's not a bad idea to hit it back to the pitcher because generally they're not working on their fielding that much. They're working on pitching. UCLA plays a strange defense here. You see Beanne Burns being the cutoff man between the outfield and home. And then you see the shortstop, Julie Marshall, doing a good job of trying to keep Erin Helgeland out, but Erin Helgeland making a good slide and being able to get around it.
Gets the congratulatory handshake from Teresa Wilson.
The only thing she's probably also saying is realize that we're down by 2 runs here, and you getting to second base isn't going to win us this ball game. So you know, be very careful on a ball in the dirt or anything. You better be about 99.9% sure that you're going to be safe at third, or this game's over.
Right. Well, as we mentioned earlier, we will be back here Tuesday for a little bit of an I-5 rivalry. The Western Washington Vikings, the NAIA nationally ranked squad, will make the trip down from Bellingham to take on the Huskies. And you can see the action Tuesday at 7:30 right here on your home of Pac-10 softball, Fox Sports Northwest. So give the Huskies some credit here. They really appeared to be shut down by Beanne Burns. They bounced back for a couple runs here in the 7th. And the tying run now up at the plate with Shelley Brown. Maybe not the best situation that you want in terms of you've got someone who probably isn't as big an RBI threat as some of your other players, but you need to get her aboard anyway just to get the tying run on base.
And Shelley Brown shouldn't be greedy here. She needs to get herself on, and Rosie Leitzinger needs to do the same. We have people that can hit in base runners, and you know, just because of where the outfield is going to play a slapper, as you can see, they're really shallow. You're not going to be able to, the runner on second, Erin Helgeland, isn't going to be able to score on a ball hit to the outfield. You see how shallow they are there.
Angie, now it's 0-2, 2 out. How does strategy change for Shelley?
You're trying to foul off anything close. You don't want to leave it up to the umpire, but you don't want to swing at bad pitches either. Oh, terrible mistake right there by Beanne Burns. You don't want to hit a batter with an 0-2 count, especially in this situation.
First person that she's hit all day today, and just we watched the replay again. Kind of took one on the elbow for the team there, but the tying run aboard, the fans come to their feet, and Rosie Leitzinger will try to keep things going. Slaps that one foul. I was a little surprised there wasn't a little bit more of a protest that perhaps Shelley was out of the box when she was hit, but there wasn't any objection from the UCLA side. And As always happens in these games, of course, the front of the batter's box has long since been erased.
Exactly. It was part of my pregame ritual, you know, being a leadoff batter. That's the first thing I would do is scratch out the lines of the batter's box. But
yeah, the groundskeepers love hitters like you. All their carefully crafted work gone in an instant. Ground into the red clay. Conference on the mound. Conference as well for the Huskies.
Assuming assistant coach Scott Santala is telling Rosie that get yourself on. Okay, we need to score 2 runs to tie up this ball game. We need you to get on, and we'll put that in the hands of Sarah Pickering.
Corners in very tight once again. Newverman at third, Polson at first. Outfield is in very, very tight. Boy, almost a situation we'd be tempted to say take one rip at it, because a little liner would be over their heads. But of course, again with a slap hitter.
Again, though, I might if I'm the outfield, I might go ahead and back up just a little bit, just because you don't want to let anything get by you. Anything get by you, and you have a chance, especially with speed like Erin Helgeland's at second and Shelly Brown's at first. Anything by the outfielders potentially could score.
One little ball just to the right of second base is not only through the infield, it's past the outfielders with a little bit of pace on it. I mean, they couldn't play much closer to the infield skin if their lives depended on it.
And I've seen Rosie Leitzinger slap a ball in between, or over the shortstop's head in between that left and center fielder.
A lot of pressure here on the freshman. Two-time All-State performer from Pacific Grove, California. An 0-2 count, just got a piece of it, and also had the runner breaking that time. Helgeland at second. Brown at first. Plenty of speed, as Angie mentioned, for the Huskies, and Helgeland was going with the pitch that time. Burns shaking off the call from Jonna Mike.
This lap, you're always hoping that the runner on second base also is going to get a good jump for you.
Check swing, a slow roller, no play, as Newverman looked to third. That's a fielding blunder, and the bases are loaded.
Exactly, and see Erin Helgeland with 2 strikes and 2 outs. She is going on the swing. As soon as that bat starts to come forward, Erin Helgeland is going to be breaking from second to third. And like I said, I mean, Erin Helgeland is one of, if not the fastest person on the team. She's got 2 outs. She really should go for Rosie Leitzinger at first base there.
Yeah, there's one play in that situation, and that's it. And now, as you said, Washington has hitters who can bring people in. I think Sarah Pickering might be one of them. Bases loaded, a base hit ties the ball game. If Pickering were to get a hold of anything further, of course, she could wrap up the contest.
And you have great speed right here on second base, which if Sarah Pickering can just get a base hit to the outfield, I'm sure that Shelly Brown will be scoring from second base, especially because there's 2 outs, and like I said, she's getting a great jump on the ball.
Pickering doubled to the wall in right center in the first, called out on strikes in the third, and lined sharply to center field in her last at bat. Over the head of the left fielder, off the wall. Brown comes in to score. Leitzinger turns at third. She's got the green light. Play at the plate for the game. Unsuccessful.
Oh my gosh!
Left comes back to win it. 7-6. Unbelievably,
finish. Oh.
The Huskies come up with 5 runs in their final at bat. A bases loaded double for Pickering. Caps a phenomenal 7th inning for Washington, as both starting pitchers have the wheels come off at one point. For Beanne Burns, it proved to be in the final at bat for Washington.
Great job by Sarah Pickering, getting in the box, not putting a lot of pressure on herself, getting a good pitch to work with. Beanne Burns probably trying to work ahead of her, trying to get ahead of her, and just does a great job. Takes that pitch exactly where it's pitched, middle inside of the part of the plate, into left field off the wall. Great job by Sarah Pickering. 2
doubles, 4 RBIs for Pickering, including the game winner. The Huskies come from behind to beat UCLA 7-6. We'll have more from Seattle after this timeout.